Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. We'll continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Jawahir al-Quran wa Durr al-Juz, the Quran spares. And beginning with this session, we will start reading from Surah Al-Waqi'ah, inshallah. As I have said before, these are several surahs that Imam Ghazali did not choose anything as a jewel, as a pearl. And this could be because the theme itself has been mentioned before, or the themes have been mentioned before. That might be the reason. Nevertheless, we will look at the surah, which in essence it begins with providing a context, and that's basically in eschatological terms, the end of time, the day of judgment, some of the events that people will witness, and the division of the people into three groups on the day of judgment. Two groups will be heading to paradise, inshallah, and one group, God decreed that they will go to hellfire. We will, of course, read the verses, and there are many verses about both. The two groups that will be heading to paradise, both are believers, but some rank above the others, fewer. Then the surah goes back into mentioning, after mentioning the three groups, goes back to mentioning some of the signs in the universe, in our life, that should help the believer and even the non-believer if he or she heeds the call, things that we know, things that we witness, and things that we know just a little bit more even about the details of some of the signs in the universe, as the oath that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took by mentioning the position of the stars, and each of these things, inshallah, we'll deal with as we progress through the surah. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا وقعت الواقعة. This is where the surah, or the name of the surah, is mentioned, Al-Waqi'ah, and it has been translated as the inevitable event. When the inevitable event takes place, the ليس لوقعتها كاذبة, then no one can deny it has come if the day of judgment unfolds. If these events take place on a very large scale, there is no way that people can deny, but also there is nothing that could push back, that could stop it. You cannot deny it, you cannot stop it, you cannot avoid it. It's just like when the Qur'an says, استجيبوا لربكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا مرد له من الله. Respond positively, accept the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before a day comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that cannot be postponed. No one can postpone, no one can deter. And the notion of واقعة لوقعتها also reminds us of سأل سائل بعذاب واقع للكافرين. سأل سائل بعذاب واقع. When the questioner, when people ask, when someone asks about a punishment that will befall them, and that's exactly what waqa is going to befall. As a day of judgment, everyone will witness. As a punishment, only the disbelievers will witness, will experience. It's going to take place. And that which is going to take place, it's as if it took place. I'm not saying that it took place, I'm saying as if it took place. It's only a matter of time. Events in this life that are inevitable, you could push, like the war that is taking place right now. I'm 100% sure that countries try to prevent this war from taking place. It's not that it was inevitable. You don't know how the future unfolds. You try to push against the warmongers, but sometimes there's so much you can do. That's different from, it's disastrous, and that's different from events like the Day of Judgment. خافضة رافعة. It will debase some and elevate others. In this world, and where there's plenty of injustice, sheer injustice, north versus the south, west versus the east, creating constructs, including constructing polities in the aftermath of World War I. There are many constructs in politics, many constructs in the economics, many constructs in the social order, constructs where some people have titles that are almost like a paragraph. In Southeast Asia, where there are sultans, when the sultan is mentioned in the news, there's like few lines, all part of the title of the sultan. In other countries, you have titles, and In Britain, there are titles. Imam Ghazali says that Al-Alqabu min ash-shaytan. It doesn't mean that we should not address people according to their positions, respect, but not on the day of judgment. Your titles are not part of how you will be addressed. So some people will be debased, some people will be elevated according to their own faith and good deeds, or simply disbelief and bad deeds, evil deeds, I would say. Even in this life, you might find people who have the political power, but they have been unjust to others and to themselves without belief. They will be debased. And others who were the meek and the weak with the proper belief, and they will be elevated. The enemies of God will be debased. There is in Ibn Kathir's tafsir a narration attributed to Uthman bin Suraqa. This is the maternal cousin of Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, radiallahu anhu majma'in. He said, خافضات رافعة. He said, this is the hour on that day, on the day of judgment. It debased the enemies of God to hellfire, and it will elevate the friends of God to paradise. And there are those who said that those who were humble in this life with belief, they will be elevated. And the opposite is true. إِذَا رُجَّتِ الْأَرْضُ رَجًّا. When the earth will be violently shaken. This is the whole earth. This is not anymore a partial, like an earthquake and a regional earthquake, where you will have search and rescue, where sometimes you rebuild destroyed homes or institutions and infrastructure. This is where the whole earth will be shaken. Remember the verse, إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا. And here, إِذَا, it's not that it might or might not happen. It's when it will happen that shaking, that violent shaking takes place on earth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned us also in the Qur'an, يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ اتَّقُوا رَبَّكُمْ إِنَّ زَلْزَلَةَ السَّاعَةِ شَيْءٌ عَظِيمٌ. That shaking on the day of judgment is a great thing. The magnitude one cannot even imagine. And no Hollywood movie can capture the real image of what will happen on the day of judgment. And as a result, you have that violent shaking, not only buildings, mountains. You think of the Alps, you think of the Himalayas, Everest, all these mountains. No matter how big or small, they will wither away, they will be crushed to pieces. وبست الجبال بسا. The mountains will be crushed. In this life, you can take, and in quarries, it'll take effort and cut stone. And some stones will be crushed into base course. Some large stones will be cut into smaller ones for buildings, etc. But this is all over the globe. The mountains will be crushed and crushed to tiny pieces. So tiny. We have elsewhere in the Quran, for example, about the mountains. What do we have? We have قُلْ يَنْسِفْهُ رَبِّي نَسْفًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will blow them up, these mountains. And elsewhere, يَوْمَ تَكُونُ الْجِبَالُ كَالْعِهْنِ الْمَنْفُوشِ, just like fluffy. They will become like fluffy wool. Here, following وَبُسَّتِ الْجِبَالُ بَسًّا, they will become scattered like particles of dust. فَكَانَتْ هَبَاءً مُنْبَثًّا. And my understanding of كَالْعِهْنِ الْمَنْفُوشِ, fluffy wool, these solid mountains that have been described as anchors for the stability of the Earth's crust, autada, like pigs stabilizing the crust of the Earth, that role will end, and understand that the laws of gravity, they're not going to work anymore. That pull particles together. Thus is basically the end result. فَكَانَتْ هَبَاءً مُنْبَثًّا. And haba, like when you enter a room and you have a flashlight, you see these particles, or basically when you have some sun rays, a beam entering a room, and you can see the particles of dust, that's haba, scattered. It means that the laws of physics are not there anymore. Things that we depend on, but all these laws are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When He wills, they cease to exist, or sometimes, like in the story of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed that the fire will not burn, say, Prophet Abraham, when his people tossed him into a great fire. It did not. There was fire, but it did not burn, because the laws are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Occasionalism. So that's the context. Of course, if you just gather the other descriptions in the Quran, you realize the nature of the day of judgment. You will be resurrected. We will all be resurrected, and we will be divided into three groups. وَكُنْتُمْ أَزْوَاجًا ثَلَاثًا. These three groups, فَأَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ. The people of the right, who are or how blessed they will be, but there will be a description. مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ. Who are, like what did they do, what will be their reward. وأصحاب المشأمة ما أصحاب المشأمة. The people of the left, how miserable will they be. والسابقون, and the foremost in faith will be the foremost in paradise. والسابقون السابقون. So you might have a race, a competition for a medal, gold, silver, bronze, but here the competition is a competition. وفي ذلك فليتسابق المتسابقون. There is a competition in this life that is not really for a medal. It's not for a World Cup. It's not for the Hall of Fame. The competition is in doing that which is good. And doing that which is good is not left up to us. This is the role of revelation. This is the role of guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the role of the Quran. It's not those who try to relativize ethics and morality, those who try to shun religion. It's very sad. It's very sad indeed. It's very sad also when people think that in order for the members of the different faiths, in order for them to have coexistence, convivencia, they think that the only way to do this is to through secularization, which practically means that you need to give up part of your faith, part of your moral system in order to fit in. Well, they say it bluntly, as if the notion of religion is equated with extremism. Not talking about actions, simply by subscribing to your own worldview. As a person of faith, to be liberal, it means you have given up part of your faith, part of your worldview. And what is left? If you just think about the secularization, the legalizing, or simply stopping to punish people. When you legalize marijuana, you stop simply. They used to shoot drug dealers, imprison them. They tried in the United States, and literally 100 years ago, they tried to outlaw alcohol, but then they gave up. Practically, as a society, they don't care about fornication, adultery, euthanasia. I remember when Dr. Kevorkian in the United States started helping, that's from their perspective, patients to die. Euthanasia, really. The government was after him. But then, beginning with Holland, legalizing euthanasia, where literally a physician would directly, literally kill a patient. Gambling, prostitution, abortion, simply because this is not, we are neither as Muslims, Republicans, nor Democrats. Roe versus Wade. That's not how abortion is dealt with in Islam. But it became the cosmetic surgeries and changing sex, as they call it, and same-sex marriage and what have you. Secularization will not accept anything, anything less than giving up religion. And slowly, people who used to have faith and a system, they have given up, and faith became a very personal thing with no impact on public life. Those of the first group, Ashab al-Maymana, they are the majority of the people of paradise. The Sabiqun, those who are foremost in their faith and their practice, they will be also in paradise, but they are like the messengers of God, the prophets, the friends of God, the martyrs. They are less in terms of numerically, less than those of the Ashab al-Yamin. They are blessed, but they rank higher than them. So as-sabiqun, they are the ones nearest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أولئك المقربون. أولئك المقربون في جنات النعيم. They are the ones nearest to Allah in the gardens of bliss. ثلة من الأولين. There will be a multitude from earlier generations. Could be earlier people, like followers of other prophets throughout history. وقليل من الآخرين, and a few from later generations. Their reward, inshallah, we will deal with their reward and the very notion of, or what has been mentioned about who are they, the awwaleen, and who are they, the akhirin. Inshallah, we'll mention these at the beginning of the next session, inshallah. Until then, subhanakallah wa hamdik. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.